everybody. Today I am making angel food cake. So when we make angel food cake, we really do want an angel food cake pan. So this is a traditional pan. The great thing about it is it has a false bottom. So when we are making egg foam cakes, if you remember from our past weeks, we don't want to grease the pan in any way. We actually want that cake to bake to the sides of the pan as it rises, and that's going to help give it some stability. Because these cakes are so light, we want that grabbing to the side so that they stay nice and light and they don't collapse back down underneath their own weight. So when it comes time to portion this cake and get it out of the pan, we can run a knife around the outside of the pan, but if this was a traditional pan, we would have a very hard time getting that off of the bottom. So you'll see later on when I portion this, I can actually take this out and then run a knife around the bottom of this and get a nice, beautiful finished cake. So I don't need to do anything to this pan to get it prepped, and I can jump right into my mixing. When I am mixing egg whites, remember you want your bowl super, super clean and your whip, no fat anywhere that's going to interfere with the egg whites whipping up to their full volume. I had some egg whites left over from my curd last week, so that was super handy. I didn't have to actually separate anything else. So those are going to go in my bowl first, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my cream of tartar, put that in, and my salt. Both of these are stabilizers for my egg whites, along with the high amount of sugar. And this is going to help my angel food cake keep its really light, beautiful volume. We don't have any chemical leaveners in this. So I'm going to go ahead and whip these until they're foamy, and then I'll start adding my second sugar. That's the larger portion of sugar. While these are whipping, I'm going to go ahead and sift together my all-purpose flour and my first sugar. My egg whites have gotten to the foamy stage, and they are foamy from the top surface all the way down to the bottom. You want to make sure that you're not rushing this and that your egg whites are only foamy on the top. If you add your sugar too early, this will just make a syrupy mixture, and it will actually take longer for your whites to whip fully. So now I'm going to get this back on medium speed, and I'll gradually sort of rein in my sugar to get this incorporated. Now that my sugar is fully incorporated, I'm going to let this mix on medium-high speed until I'm just under stiff peaks. My whites a check on their consistency, so taking that out of the bowl, just give that a stir, and then let's stand these up. So I have just a little curve at the top there. It could go a little further, but I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and put in my extract. So I'm using a combination of vanilla and almond extracts. You can use whatever you prefer. Vanilla always gives a nice balance in addition to whatever you may be using. Okay, so really nice glossy appearance when I pick that up. It's almost standing up straight, which is exactly where I want to have it. I'm going to fold in my sugar and my flour by hand now so that I can control the way that it is going in. I'm going to use my sifter to help me get a really nice even coating of incorporation of dry ingredients. So I'm going to just pour to get a nice one layer coating on there. And I do prefer to fold with a whisk at the beginning because this is such a nice light mixture. I don't have a problem things getting stuck in my whisk. So when these are partially incorporated, then I'm going to go ahead and add my next addition. Get that all in there. Just tap, 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 tap. So even though this is a fat-free cake, it is by no means a low-calorie cake. The amount of sugar that we are using as a stabilizer in this recipe really does add a lot of calories. So just something to keep in mind. It's not always the fat that can make this a luxurious dessert. So it may seem a little different that we are sifting the sugar along with the flour because we are still working with a meringue and I have this sugar that's going in at the end. I really need to make sure that there's no little lumps of sugar that may be going in, and since we live in such a humid environment, it's always possible that we have little chunks of sugar that get some humidity in them and get some moisture, and we can get those hard pieces of sugar. This last bit in. A little bit left on my parchment. And you'll notice I'm not banging the whisk on the bowl. If I do that, it's going to collapse any of the natural leavening that I have incorporated. So I'm just sort of tapping this down, or I'll tap it on my hand to get anything out. So this is about 95% incorporated. So I'm just going to tap out the excess that's in my whisk. And I'm going to finish off with a rubber spatula, just to make sure that I don't have anything that's hanging around the bottom that is unmixed. All right, that looks good. Remember, anytime we're working with an egg foam cake, we want to make sure that we're keeping the manipulation of that batter to a minimum. Okay. Gracie, quiet. Now that I have that all in there, I'm just going to do a nice gentle smoothing. And this is exactly where we want this to be, about 70% full for my volume, so that there is still room for this to expand. It's going to be really important. You'll see that this center cone, it actually is higher than the top of the rest of the pan, and it's really important that these items don't get buried by the rise of the cake. So immediately this is going to go in the oven so I don't lose any of my volume, and I'm going to bake this at 325 degrees until a skewer or something very small and delicate inserted comes out clean. This is my cake cooling upside down, so there actually is about an inch in between here where the center tube is longer than the side of the pan, so I can cool this upside down. Gravity, as this is cooling, is going to help keep this cake nice and light. Alternately, you could use a wine bottle, something. You just want to make sure that the before you have a hot cake pan, that the opening on the center of your cake pan is bigger than whatever you're inverting it on, a wine bottle, a liquor bottle, something like that. And in the absence of that, yes, you can just turn this upside down and it will sit on the countertop just like this.